Hi everyone! Today is June 4th and I've got a Letecia Stauch update. But before we get into that, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and be sure to share this video wherever you can. And let's get started. Today Letecia Stauch received new charges, solicitation to commit escape. According to the affidavit, which I am going to give you a link to in the description, Letecia is housed in Ward Alpha 2, which is the Mental and Suicide Watch ward at the El Paso County Jail. And on May 5th, Letecia's classification was made Seg All, which means that she's kept segregated from everyone. She does not share a cell. She does not get out of her cell when other inmates are out and about. She's allowed out 1 hour a day, and she's also classified as a full restraint escape risk. She's not going to be transported without full restraint, which is the ankles and the wrists, with the wrists attached to a belt around her waist. So on May 18th around 7 p.m. another inmate from the ward reported that Letecia had been slipping her notes under her door, and also that Letecia had been talking a lot to her and other inmates and slipping notes under the doors of other inmates as well, and that Letecia had been talking about an escape. The inmate cooperated fully with LE, said that she knows what Letecia's charged with and she wants nothing to do with Letecia. And the inmate gave the notes to law enforcement, and law enforcement also searched Letecia's cell that day, it was May 18th, and they found more notes, and the writing on those notes matched those that the inmate gave them, and they're very confident that all these notes are written by Letecia. There's other information in the notes, like in some of the notes, Letecia stated that she had a meeting coming up, and like that day of the date on the note, and then she had a meeting with I think it was a social worker at the time of one of the notes. So anyway, it all matches up. It's Letecia writing these notes. And so the plan for escape was that Letecia's plan was to use a broom handle to break out the window in her cell. And she said in the notes that she had already measured herself and knew she would fit through the window. And the letters to that inmate were asking for her help to set it up, and also saying that they needed access points, whatever she meant by that. But anyway, she wanted the inmate to help her because the inmate had access to the brooms, and she wanted that inmate to get a broom handle to her so that she could use the broom handle to break out her window. And she promised the inmate money and help escaping so that they could both be MIA. And Letecia stated in one of the letters that her grandpa was putting $75,000 in an account for a private attorney for her and for her daughter, but that she would rather, and this is a quote, use the money to survive. And she said that once she and the other inmate had access to the funds, they would be good, which pretty much reminded me of the whole good to go when she was talking about Gannon and the supposed injury on his foot. Anyway, so the law enforcement agents then, after getting all the information from this other inmate and receiving the letters, they went and took Letecia out of her cell and searched her cell, and they noted that no one else has access to Letecia's cell. And they went in there and they found other things written by Letecia, including a letter that was addressed to Sweetie. And the letter addressed to Sweetie said that if something comes up in the news that she's no longer in jail or missing, not to be afraid. And one of the pages of the letters to Sweetie also has the name Harley written on it. And the letter also stated several times that Sweetie should just keep normal and focused, and that comment was underlined. And she also wrote to trust her on this, and those comments were also underlined. So that's, what happened today is she's got herself new charges, and I think that pretty much puts the kibosh on any chance of her ever getting bond, because now she's made an attempt to escape from this jail, and I think her patterns of behavior are indicating that she is a flight risk, and she's not getting out. So her next court date is tomorrow, June 5th at 9 a.m. For a hearing to determine the next steps in the case against her. The preliminary hearing has been postponed, and preliminary hearings are held to determine if there's sufficient evidence for a trial. I'm pretty sure there is. And I did notice that on the dockets there are actually 2 separate case numbers listed on the docket for tomorrow, and they're at the same time in the same courtroom though, so they're probably multitasking. It might have something to do with these new charges as well. And then there was a court order just explaining who can attend this trial, and it says that there will be 12 people allowed in the gallery, including 2 named representatives from the press, and then each side, the defense and the prosecution, will be allowed the attorneys of record, and they're each allowed 1 investigator or advisory witness per side. And then also the proceedings are going to be live streamed to the jury assembly room, where 50 people will be allowed to view the proceedings. And there will be no audio and no video recording allowed. And they also state that all individuals vulnerable to COVID-19 are requested to not attend the proceedings for their own safety. And people are asked to wear their own masks to the proceedings. And then also on the court dockets is divorce court on June 18th at 8:30 a.m. And it says setting. I'm not an attorney, so, I think this might be when they set the next dates for the next phase of the divorce procedure, but I've also not gone through, these procedures, so I have no idea what's going on with that. But I do know that it's probably going to take at least 6 months from when Al filed before the divorce is finalized. And that's it for the Letecia Stauch updates, and I'll keep you posted, and I will put links to the documents in the description. Thank you for watching.